Armin was a man the world admired, a name people whispered with envy at business meetings, a figure that magazines printed on glossy covers as the face of success, but inside his own mansion he was little more than a shadow that drifted in and out of rooms his children barely recognized him in, a man who built an empire brick by brick yet had unknowingly left behind the fragile hearts of the two children who needed him the most, Ayan and Mira. The mansion echoed with silence most of the time, broken only by the playful chatter of the two children with Sophia, the maid who had long ago stopped being just an employee and had silently become the warmth of the house. She was not from the world of luxury, not from the side of life where money came easy. She was a widow who had carried the burden of survival like a silent soldier, cleaning homes, cooking meals, and looking after children that were not hers, while her own little daughter waited miles away in a small village. But in Armin's home, she had found something sacred, the chance to pour love into two little souls who were unknowingly starving for attention. That Friday, the day that would change everything, began like any other. Armin was supposed to fly to London for a deal that his manager said could bring millions more into his already overflowing accounts. But for the first time in years, Armin woke up feeling restless, as if a voice inside him was pulling him back, whispering that maybe today he needed to stop running. Against every habit of his business-driven mind, he cancelled the trip, telling his assistant to handle things. Nobody at the office understood why, but Armin himself could not explain. He only knew his heart felt heavier than usual, and perhaps, without admitting it, he wanted to breathe the air of home again. When his car pulled up at the gates earlier than anyone expected, the guards stood stunned. Armin walked through the marble hallway of his mansion, his footsteps strangely soft, his tie slightly loosened, his heart pounding for no reason he could name. He expected silence, but instead he heard something that made him pause, laughter, bright, ringing, innocent laughter that did not sound rehearsed, the kind of laughter that could not be bought with money. He followed it quietly, his expensive shoes sinking into the carpet, and soon reached the living room. What he saw there stopped him cold, not because it was shocking but because it was achingly beautiful. On the floor sat Sophia, not in her usual posture of serving and cleaning but cross-legged like a storyteller of old times, her eyes lit with warmth as she held the children spellbound. Mira wore a crown made of paper, slightly tilted, while Ayan waved a cardboard sword with dramatic pride. They were kings and queens in their own little world, and Sophia was weaving for them tales of kindness, of bravery, of giving to the poor, stories where heroes were not the richest or the strongest. Those who gave the most love. The children's laughter rose and fell like music, their eyes wide, their cheeks flushed with joy, and in that moment Armin felt something twist inside him. He leaned against the wall, staying hidden, watching this world unfold, and for the first time in a very long time he realized he was an outsider in his own home. His children had found in a maid the presence of a parent, the softness of a mother, the guidance of a teacher, the attention of a friend, all the things he thought money could somehow replace. A wave of memories struck him, his own mother, long gone now, sitting on the floor with him when he was a boy, telling him stories of courage and honesty, reminding him that love was the greatest inheritance. Tears burned his eyes before he could stop them. He had conquered boardrooms, silenced competitors, built towers of glass and steel, but here, in his own house, the lessons of life were being taught by a woman the world would overlook. His children did not need luxury cars or golden toys, they needed this warmth, this laughter, this sense of being seen. He covered his face for a moment, ashamed that he had been blind for so long, ashamed that strangers wrote about his greatness while his own children's hearts were quietly being nourished by someone else. The sound of Myra's laughter pierced through that shame like sunlight, and he let the tears fall, silent but unstoppable. For years he had thought strength meant never bending, never pausing, always chasing the next number in the bank, but in that instant he discovered a different strength, the strength to feel, to admit that love mattered more. He watched longer, drinking in the sight of his children's happiness as if it were water to a parched soul, and every second felt like a revelation. He realized how small his presence had been in their childhood, how many birthdays he had missed, how many nights he had chosen meetings over bedtime stories, and it broke him. Yet within that breaking there was hope, because as long as laughter still echoed in this house, maybe it wasn't too late to change.